Alright, so welcome to the install guide for the course correct version of Roguetech. This is being recorded in March 2025, which I say because the one I recorded years ago is still getting hits to this day. So, hi, it's March 2025. Yes. In any case, so whenever you have the Rogue launcher that you can get from the Roguetech Discord, it will have the install target and the checkout workspace both set to a default. If you want to change the checkout workspace, you actually have to go into advanced mode to be able to modify that. So advanced mode, then you click browse, choose the folder, and then you can actually click back into basic mode and it keeps it. But yes, I am using a clean install of Battletech, specifically the GOG version of Battletech, but it works with the Steam as well. But I really recommend a clean install every time that there's a save break update, just because there's a lot of stuff that can happen if it doesn't quite get fully cleaned and everything. It's not necessary to do a clean install of Battletech, but I guess I should also mention it's Harebrained Schemes Battletech from 2016 that Roguetech mods. Woo! But if you're here, you probably already knew that. Regardless, yeah, so once you have the folders set, there are some preferences that you can use. Basically, unless you know what you're doing, or if you're troubleshooting, just don't really mess with any of that. I would rather just click Update and Install. If you have a fresh install, it'll say no data can be found, and a fresh download will be initiated. And then it begins. And depending on your internet, depending on your read-write speed of your hard drive, etc., 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 this can take quite a while. So I'm going to cut to it being done installing. Alright, so, glad it happened to me so it doesn't just happen to you. Apparently, if you have the Roguetech launcher that was available on the Discord before the save break here in March 2025, then you have to get that one. So it looks like version 1.3.13, updated 3/3/2024, is the newest. The old launcher I had is 45.9 megabytes, and the new launcher that I just downloaded is 50.1. Yes, run anyway. Shut up, Windows. Okay. So this is the new one. And since the cache version from having the old launcher appears to be correct, I'm gonna just try to click Update Install. Okay, no data can be found, new install to be done, okay. Install configuration not valid, clean install is required, okay. Alright. Well, it popped up the configuration options. We'll see if this works. If not, then I'm glad I'm doing it instead of you just not... instead of you're seeing me doing it and it working perfectly, and then not being able to figure it out. So, cool. I downloaded the stuff in an older launcher that was a fresh install with Battletech, and now, using the newer launcher, it has brought me immediately into the configuration options. So, yes, there are two options. Online War Map and Wartech 2C. Wartech 2C is if you just want the offline experience where there's no chance of anything messing with your star map. And in the online war version, as it says here, requires registering an application on Warmap Discard for full access. Full access gives you the ability to impact the state of the universe in the online war. If you just want to play with the factions constantly fighting over planets and planets changing hands, or systems changing hands regularly, it can still be a very fun experience. But I'm going to stick with the Wartech 2C, and that's mostly just so that I'm not like recording a burst of videos and then the next time I go to record, things have drastically changed while I just stepped away, but between recording sessions. In any case, Wartech 2C map year. This allows you to choose what era of the Battletech universe you want to play in. Alright, here we go. Sarna.net, Battletech eras. So, pre-Star League, spaceflight, pre-spaceflight and early spaceflight. According to the Battletech lore, early spaceflight stops at 2005 because the Age of War begins. In any case, what we're more interested in here is the eras in 2765, which would be during the Star League. So this would be the rebellion where, the Ameris Civil War. Actually, it says 2765 is the Periphery Revolts. So I wonder if that's an era where the SLDF is fighting the Periphery. That's kind of cool. And then the Ameris Civil War happens at the end of the 2770s. And the early Secession War and just Secession War period starts. So the 2786 to 2821 would be the first, probably first Secession War. So the Star League was going strong, and then crazy things happen. Ameris Civil War. Kerensky leaves with the clanner, or with the future. What would become the clans? The Exodus begins, and the Civil War or the Secession War begins. 2910, which is not available. 3040 is the next. So 3040 would be the probably third and fourth Secession War area. Cool. Clan Invasion, 3050 to 3061. So there we go. 3075 is after the Clan Invasion. And so 3080s would be the just entire jihad where Word of Blake... Is it Word of... No, Word of Blake is... No, it is Word of Blake. Man. For a second, I thought Word of Blake was Command and Conquer, but no. So, yeah, the Word of Blake Jihad, where Comstar has a schism and everyone's going crazy. Yeah. So those are the eras. I don't know offhand which ones may or may not be new, since I haven't touched Roguetech in over a year. What era do I want to play in? Alright, so I just jumped and checked. They have not added the new era yet. They're planning to add one soon. Alright, in that case I can just choose whatever. And now we have the 2765 map. We still have the Terran hegemony in the center, but now the Terran hegemony includes the Star League Defense Force, which is the military of the Terran hegemony, before it, leaves with Kerensky. In any case, we've still got Free Worlds League, which is Merrick, the Capellan Confederation, which is... Oh man, it's been a while. No, Kurita is the Draconis Combine. Capellans are... Lao, right, House Liao. And then the Davians with Federated Sons, and the Lyrans with House Steiner. Cool. And we still have... Oh. Yeah. That's interesting. Just a bunch of nothing out this way. Cool. In any case, yeah, we still have Magistracy of Canopus. We still have... Oh, I think this is Tortuga Dominions is new. The Taurian Concordat is smaller. And... New Delphi, yeah. Yarnfolk, yeah. Rimworld's Republic. Okay, so Rimworld's Republic. This is the yeah, I want to say this is the Civil War people, or the people that started the Civil War. I forget the leader's name off the top of my head. But yeah, and then up here we still have Castilla, and we do not have clanners at all. There is no clan. No clanners, period. But we still have, like, clan tech stuff, basically, with SLDF. In any case, that is the 2765. Cool. Alright, now I'm gonna load in... Oh, also, I did try to load the other campaign. It was weird. Didn't work. Oh, also Outward Alliance. Outworld Alliance, I think I failed to mention. Anyway, on to the next map. This is the 2786 to 2821 map. Got Terran Hegemony on the center, Steiner, Draconis Combine, Federate Suns, Compelling Confederation, and Free Worlds League. That's the big five. They own basically the entire Inner Sphere. You do still have the Magistracy of Canopus, Lothian League, Tauren Concordat, Word of Blake off there for some unknown reason, Tortuga Dominions, the New Delphi Compact, Yarnfolk, the Oberon Confederation. All of these are local government that will eventually become... Oh, there we go. Finnmark Free Republic. I was going to say, they should already be there. Of course, you have Solaris, and way up here, each of the clanners has one... Or, yeah, like one planet. One system. Yeah, here you got the SLDF in Exile. So yeah, that is, there we go, SLDF, yes, the Star League Defense Force. Way over here we have Nueva Castilla, whatever. Yeah, the remnants of the Star League is the Terran Hegemony. There we go. The Terran Hegemony was the head of the Star League, so that's the SLDF with Kerensky off there, on their way to their Terran homeworld, or the clan homeworlds. Cool. Alright, here we are in the 3040s map. You'll notice the Terran Hegemony is completely gone. Lyran Commonwealth controls much of what used to be the Terran Hegemony. Davian has also come in on a little bit. The House Kirita is still with the Draconis Combine, very much prevalent there. Free Worlds League is still very prevalent there. The Capellans are in recession here, having been beaten down on each side by the Federated Suns and Steiner, as well as a little bit from the Free Worlds League. And then we also have the St. Ives Compact, which is a faction that I believe split off from Davian. Regardless, then there's the Oregon Coalition, which is the group that was created by Harebrained Schemes that was not canon until 2016 Battletech was released. Tauren Concordat, the Magistracy of Canopus is also in decline. And then we have the Illyrian Palatinate. The Marian Hegemony is here, with the Lothian League there. We have the Circinus Federation. The Lyran Commonwealth has taken all of what used to be the periphery state that caused the Maris something civil war. We've got Oxmit Providence way over here, and then we've got the Hanseatic League. We've got the Nueva Castile. I think I already touched the Yarnfolk are still here. I already touched the New Delphi Compact is still here. Tortuga Domains are here. Word of Blake is here. And way up here, the SLDF force is now Clanner Worlds, and the Clan Home Worlds are here. So that's the 3040s. Let me pop on to the next one then. Alright, here we have the 3075 map. So we have the Word of Blake, which has reclaimed the Terran Hegemony. Got Lyran Commonwealth, Free Worlds League, Compelling Confederation, Fed Suns, and Draconis Combine. Tortuga Dominion, Word of Blake still has their stuff over there. Fitveld Coalition. Taurian Concordat. Calderan Protectorate. Magistracy of Canopus. The Frank Reaches. The Marian Hegemony. Serkenis Federation. Up here, we have Ghost Bear. That has come in and taken a lot of the upper area. Clan Wolf is also very prominent here. Clan Jade Falcon as well. And then Draconis Combine. So, those were the 3 clans that were most successful. Or, I'm sorry, Hell's Horses also. Those are the 4 clans that were most successful during the clan invasion. I think this is actively... The 3075, I think, is... Like... I think this is after the clans had successfully, or pushed in and then been successfully stopped by Comstar, and then Word of Blake happened. But... yeah, so... There is the clan presence very much in the Inner Sphere. So... The 3075 map is good if you want to just have the ability to go fight clanners immediately. Or go fight Word of Blake, which is running Comstar level tech immediately. And then we've got one left. Alright, here we have the 3080s map. And it's worth noting, I cycled through every single map type, or every single map and reloading the mods in 30 minutes to look at all of these. So, changing maps is not that big of a deal. In any case, the Marian Hegemony is still here. Good old Hegemony. Rim Commonality, Magistracy of Canopus, Frank Reaches, the Regan Coalition, Taurian Concordat, the Calderan Protectorate. Word of Blake is back over here. They've been pushed out of the Terran Hegemony. Republic of the Spear is now there as the 3080s map, central, system. The Merrick Stewart Commonwealth and Regulant Fiefs are over here. This is after the House Canopus, I think, collapsed. So, yeah, also have the Orient Protectorate. Then there's Capellans, Davian, Draconis Combine, which is Curidan, and the Lyran Commonwealth Steiner are still there. It's just the 5th house collapsed. Fivalt Coalition, Tortuga Dominions. All these are still here. New Delphi Compact, Yarnfolk, Chainlane Isles, the Hanseatic League. Up here we've got Scorpion Imperia, Clanners, and up here we still have Clan Jade Falcon, Clan Wolf, Clan Hell's Horses, and Clan Ghostbear. So, this is the 3080s map. It's very similar to 3070s, but minus Word of Blake all throughout the center. And that's all the map types. I now need to think for a second. I think I'm still going to go with one of the pre-invasion maps for the challenge run, but I'm not sure which of them. There's 3 that are pre-clan invasion. I'm going to choose one of them. In any case, so now I'm going to cut back to the rest of the video that I spliced this all into the middle of. In any case, difficulty scaling. So this is one that is largely personal preference, but I have always preferred by planet rating. So the difficulty scaling by company strength means that no matter where you are, every mission is the difficulty is based on the mechs that you have and what their value is. And the value's pretty consistent with how effective they are, but if you especially build a very expensive mech that isn't built well, then it's not actually as valuable as the strength system would believe. But that's not why I don't go with it. I don't go with it because I like the idea of being able to fall back and lick wounds on a safer difficulty planet and, build up again after a particularly epic fail / defeat, or being able to go ahead of time and, hey, I feel, especially for the challenge run, able to handle 5, 6 star or 5 or 6 skull missions whenever technically the difficulty system thinks that I should only be getting 3 star or 3 skull. But it's just planets never change their skulls. That's the option there. Versus the difficulty of missions being based on your loadouts and your mechs rather than having the fine control. Now, it is worth noting that unless something has changed since the last times I played, the only way to get epically difficult missions, like the, 20 skull, or 20, the 20 difficulty, 20 skull, whatever, where the skulls are getting to crazy colors and things are insane, is with company strength. There's no planet that by default just has, beyond the, I think it's red skull for, 10. I think the max difficulty rating by planet is just the 10 skull. So, you can get, depending on an option we'll talk about later, you can get up to 12.5 skull difficulty or whatever with planet rating. But if you want to go beyond that, if you want even more challenge, then you go to company strength. But again, especially for the challenge run that I'm planning on running, that I've been running, where I'm dropping at half the rating that is recommended, then this is important for my uses. Legacy is, it's there. And it looks like it just counts the most expensive mechs you can drop, not, I guess, all of them. Average deployment value for the last several missions. Okay, so the new company strength is whatever you've been dropping on missions versus the most expensive mechs you can drop. Might be interesting to mess with at some point, but for the challenge run, I kind of have to go with planet rating. Now then, enemy support lances. Enemy support lances is missions where you're dropping in, and if you're dropping light, if you're dropping below the requirement, there's less likely to have support lances. If you're dropping well above the difficulty, so if you're dropping a crazy powerful lance on a half skull basic easy mission, it's probably going to have support lances, possibly multiple of them. The different options here change how the system works. So default enemy support lances is whatever the default is. I haven't played with it in a while, so I'm not really sure what default is, but it's usually fairly balanced as long as you're playing, quote, normally. Again, this is a setting that I will change because of the challenge runs that I do. So, kill teams. Max 1 support lance, but they're kill teams. So, basically they're going to be stronger than normal support lances. And it looks like at difficulty 16, which is 8 skulls, or I think it's the orange ones, 3 orange skulls, then deadly custom mechs and high-level pilots begin appearing. So, that's if you want extra challenge from your support lances. It also does make the loot better. Easy enemy support lances is max 1 support lance, lower chances. And that's what I'm going to go with. Because I'm confident that they've adjusted the support lance system since the last time. These are settings you can change between, you can launch, decide you don't like the settings, go back and change settings. Some of them, like the support lances, I believe you don't have to completely reinstall the mod, but some of them, I'm pretty sure the maps you do, unless that's changed since the last time I messed with it. Moving on, no enemy support lances, except contract specific. Means that you're never going to drop on a mission and suddenly have a, additional lance show up. And you'll notice if you hover over, there will be the commentary of on easy and no enemy support lances. There's caps online influence and minus 50% online progress, and then minus 90% online progress and caps online influence to 6 max. That is if you're specifically part of the system of the online map where you are influencing who controls what systems. If you've not gone to the Rogue War Discord and applied and been accepted into it and all that, you will have no impact, so those don't matter. So basically, if you're not taking part in the online war, do whatever of these you would like. Spawn randomizer, random combat starting position, or disable random combat starting position. If you disable random combat starting position, you're always going to start in a position where you are just able to do the mission, but it does get very dull always starting in the same place. So I just always use random, and if it happens to drop me in a dead drop, then I either deal with it, which there's tools that you can use to very slowly walk down from cliffs and things, or just, reload if necessary. If it's really borked and you can't get out within a reasonable period of time, then you can always reload and launch the mission again and get a different random combat start. Moving on. Battle deployments. This makes that even easier to deal with, because you can have manual deployment, where you choose where you're dropping. You can ask for a deploy type before combat. I think that's a new option. I don't remember seeing that. And then there's automatic deployment, which is the old system where you could potentially get stuck. So I'm going to go with manual deployment, because I personally like looking at the map and choosing. Now, there are restrictions to how you can deploy. So the random combat starting position means that you would have a safe zone where no matter what kind of enemies are anywhere on the map, you can definitely drop in that area, even if you're using manual deployment. And you can drop in other places, like often, as long as there's no enemies nearby, you can't just drop right on top of the objective, for example. Things like that. So I like to go random combat starting positions and manual deploy, but that's personal preference. I do want to make it clear that if you have random combat starting positions and automatic deployment, that you are able to walk one hex at a time, one unit at a time down cliffs and things using some of the advanced piloting techniques and things. So, yeah. Convoys! If you have an AI convoy, the AI is going to stick close to your mechs and be useless. Manual convoy lets you control the convoy units whenever you're doing an escort mission. Everyone hates escort missions. I like to stick with manual convoy. The map size. Standard map size is the Harebrained Scheme's default map size. It's a little small, it's a little cramped, and especially with all the extra stuff that Roguetech has added, it's tight. The default is 33% increased, but you can also choose 66% increased and doubled sizes of the default map size. I've stuck with 33% for a long time. I imagine if I were to go with 66%, that it would probably take longer to load, and also would give more versatility of where you want to drop with manual deployment. So that's entirely a personal preference thing. I do stick with the default. It seems to be adequate for everything I've ever done. Choose to spawn allied support. So this is like support lances, but friendlies. I have always done disable allies, and that's partially because I dropped the support lances to easy, and it's a challenge run. So when there are support lances, I will just straight up be outnumbered every time. Whereas if you have support lances by default and you enable allies, then it's a less numerical advantage. It's not quite a numerical advantage, as much of a numerical advantage for your enemies. Combat log. Floaties, combat log. Combat log is neat. Floaties lets you just glance and see a lot of what's happening. I prefer that. Now, combat log does let you look back and see what just happened. So it could, especially if you're learning the game, be useful to have the combat logs so that you can check and see why your mech just exploded. But for the most part, I have a pretty good idea of if I see my mech explode, I generally have a pretty good idea of what happened. Whether it be an ammo crit causing an explosion or a headshot or what have you. Now, Ronin starting pilots versus random generated starting pilots. 1. Ronins cannot be renamed. 2. Ronins are generally more powerful. And 3. Ronins are almost always more expensive than the randomly generated starting pilots. I'm going to start, because it's a challenge run, and because I have plans, with random generated starting pilots. So I'm not going to have anything fancy in my roster at the start. I can rename them, but that's the only advantage over the Ronins. Well, that and they're cheaper. I anticipate, especially as I adjust to things, I'm probably going to have pilots die. It's fine. Ronins are just... yeah. Again, starting the game with predefined pilots, they have painted pictures and unused experience. Versus... just vanilla, random pilots. So that's going to be fun. But again, I'm mostly doing that as part of the challenge run, especially if you're new to Roguetech, just go with the Ronins. You can get some very powerful Mechwarriors at the very start that can help you overcome some of the early pains of growing your team, or growing your mercenary company. Difficulty icon type. Skulls or chevrons. I don't remember this being an option. That's cool. Increasing number of chevrons instead of only color shifting. More accessible for colorblind players. So I'm going to use that in part just because I haven't seen it before. I believe what that's saying is it's still going to have the skull icons. It's just going to have skull icons with chevrons over the skulls instead of just changing the color for above difficulty, or above 5 skulls. So that'll be really cool. It'll also help me, not dodo into a 10 skull mission thinking it's a 5 skull. Which, something like that is actually how the challenge run started back in the day, whenever I accidentally didn't realize they had changed the skull colors to indicate more difficulty and dropped a medium lance on a crazy difficulty mission. That was fun. It launched the entire challenge run idea. It was great. I'm happy it happened, but this can help you keep from being surprised like I did. Like I was. Base unit eras. Allows base units from the selected eras to spawn. I don't know what most a ... means. But I am gonna just choose all of the eras. And that's partially just to have a lot of content. And these are all lore accurate units for the different eras. So, I wonder if that changes based on... If I go to 3075... No, it did not change the grayed out ones. Okay. So that means the map is almost entirely just who you can work for and where areas you're starting in. And this is the mechs that can drop. The mechs and things that can drop in the battles are going to be very varied for my challenge run, but you can play with particular eras enabled. Additional content. This is non-canon units. It includes challenging encounters. Okay. I shouldn't have clicked the thing. Okay. Let me just turn all this off and go through one by one. I didn't mean to click to enable everything. So, Herbopocalypse, or Herbocalypse. This is urban mechs. There are a lot of different variants of urban mechs. Now, there are times where certain mission types and certain mission difficulties can have way more urban mechs than anything else, but that's actually kind of cool, and a little bit semi-lore accurate. If you can't afford a real Battlemech, you can still get an Urbi. But all jokes aside, Urbis are fun, Urbis are nice, I like them. They're there. It also includes the urban tank, the urban mech helicopter, urban mech turrets, things like that. So, yes, Urbis, fun. Custom Omnimechs. Omnimechs are weapon slots that are more versatile. I think they changed something at some point to have Omni hardpoints instead of just the ballistic missile and energy. Don't quote me on that. It's been a minute. My memory's rusty. But yeah, I'm going to turn it on. Why not? Pirate tech units. Jury-rigged and junker tech units. Absolutely, always. Elite pilots and mechs. Lances and contracts to face superior skilled forces. I don't know if I want to turn this on simply because of the challenge run. If I'm already dropping half of what I should if I'm already dropping half of what I should be by the default difficulty stuff, this might make that even harder. But I can just retreat if necessary. So, but then if I get completely wrecked, you know what? It'll be fun. Why not? Risk. Or no. Wait. Yeah, Risk. Republic Institute of Strategic Combat. I'm going to enable that as well. Risk is kind of like clan tech, but different. It is more powerful than base stuff, usually with some kind of weight saving or otherwise, and it also includes some crazy, usually quirks and penalties that you can offset with good enough equipment in addition to the weapons and things. Society. Society is basically clan R&D during the Wars of Reaving. Not canonical and very powerful. I'm not going to go with Society because if I get something in the challenge run, I'm going to use it if it's useful, and some Society stuff is just imbalanced in the sense that for what it does, it is too powerful. In my opinion, based on my previous experience. Now, maybe if I get enough comments saying that, Society isn't, or whatever, if they've fixed the balance issues, cool. But otherwise, I'm just going to leave it off. Super heavy, units and missions. That is in-game content. Yes. Now, I'm pretty sure that the super heavies can only be part of the missions. And once I'm unlocking super heavies, I'm probably done with the challenge run anyway. It's a good, end cap boss fight thing. But you can get units over 100 tons and play them and have fun being just insane. Nuclear weapon carriers. No. They are what they say they are. Expect to be wiped instantly. That is accurate. Don't be surprised when your entire team gets destroyed because you enabled nukes. Prototypes and experimental technologies. You know what? I'm going to turn Society on. Why not? I'm going to turn on experimental and prototypes. Absolutely. So that would be like protomechs and stuff, I'm pretty sure. And then quick sell's fun. Bestest value prices. A selection of knockoff components and equipment. Quick sell custom mechs. I know in past challenge runs this has been problematic because there was just lances where there was a period of time where quick sell was everywhere. But I'm fine with it. I'm going to see... the reason I turned Society on as well is I'm going to see, based on this first challenge run, exactly how prevalent and problematic they are. And if they're too problematic, then I will go through and work on disabling them and things. Eventualities. It is a event chain based on Squid Game, tacos, and the journeys between stars. I'm going to leave that off. My experience with the Squid Games events that they added are that they don't really add anything to the gameplay, and the events are not my cup of tea. So we'll leave it. We'll leave it off. Roguetech Online Legend Pilots. Roguetech Online Legend Mechs. Custom mechs only usable by Roguetech Online Legend Pilots. I mean, I don't even know what that means, but I'll turn it on. Okay, so you have to have the Roguetech Online movers and shakers. Interesting. I guess I'll leave it off for now until I look at that. Operation Revival. Units from the Operation Revival fan TRO series. Used with original author's permission. Okay. Adds new clan toys. Be prepared for a challenge. Sure. And then change urban biomes to war-torn nightmares. I actually leave this off in part because, well, a big part of the reason the challenge run works is a lack of inconsistency. Like, it's not good to drop into a urban biome and suddenly just lose a mech because you walked into something. Which, again, challenge run. It's the only reason I'm keeping it off. I know that it'll have, like, basically buildings that are working as pillboxes and stuff like that. And I just thought it didn't add anything to the challenge run whenever I was doing it. And it detracted more. So, I'm going to leave that off for that reason. But as far as the stuff that can drop against me and the tech that I can find, I've turned everything except for nukes on. And I will look back and possibly turn on the Roguetech Online Legend mechs once I see the pilots. Flashpoints. I'm going to leave the Arana Restoration story as flashpoints off. But I am going to bring the super heavy flashpoints. I think those are specifically flashpoints where you fight super heavies. You know what? I'm actually going to leave the flashpoints off just primarily because they're not generally something that I'm going to do with the challenge run. But I will leave the super heavy flashpoints on. Might make it easier for me to go and challenge them once I'm ready for super heavies. And it might make the more vanilla flashpoints be more common. I don't know exactly how that works. We'll see. But flashpoints are just if you have the Flashpoint expansion, DLC, it gives you like mini campaigns that you can go play. The Arana Restoration story is literally the entire vanilla story, like the vanilla Harebrained scheme story, but in Flashpoint form. And there were tweaks and adjustments made along the way. So, it's fun if you haven't done it. If you haven't played the specifically Flashpoint version that was made for Roguetech, it's fun, it's interesting, they've tweaked a lot of things, and yeah, it's a bit different than the vanilla campaign, but it's the same storyline, just a lot has changed as far as, for one, Duncan Fisher's narrating a lot of it, I believe. Or maybe it's somebody else. Anyway, that's an entire aside. Additional pilots. Pilots of the modding community. Yarnfolk pilots. Omega Squad pilots. Mandalorian pilots, emblems, and portraits. Fresh Mechwarriors. Pilots that can be hired based on realistic-looking portraits. And Roguetech Online movers and shakers. So, I like turning that all on. Just the versatility of seeing a bunch of stuff in the hiring halls is fun. I'm going to leave those all on, and yeah. I'm going to go ahead and enable the Roguetech Online Legends mechs to see what that is exactly. Again, most of these things you can disable at later times. I'm pretty sure it literally just there's a boolean somewhere in the mod packs that is either on or off. Emblems! These emblem options are literally just whenever you're making your mercenary company and customizing it, you can choose different emblems for your campaign, or for your mercenary company's emblem. So this gives you a lot more options. Portrait loader, yep. Again, that's just more options for your commander. And then cities. Either civilians didn't evacuate cities, so lots of blood and madness and chaos, or civilians evacuated cities, which I mostly leave on because I'm not here for the realism, I'm here for the stompy robots. But also because it does, in my opinion, improve performance a little bit, which may just be a subjective experience that is not accurate, but it feels like it improves performance, and the urban biome is the worst for performance, period. Updated fire effects versus original, yeah. Reduced smoke sounds good, but the fire effects is just, they've improved the visuals from the vanilla game a lot for all the effects, basically. Fog of War. Fog of War on a unit-by-unit basis, or Fog of War stays revealed. I mean, I'm going to leave it on its default. I don't exactly remember what this does. I think this has to do specifically with, like, the map. Like, the what you're able to do on the map as far as electronic warfare and things. Don't quote me on that. I will have a comment underneath this video whenever I stumble across things that were inaccurate or that I thought. And also, don't feel bad about leaving a comment correcting something that I slightly got wrong. I am a little rusty on a lot of these things, but I'm pretty sure the Fog of War is specifically like electronic warfare stuff. Night Vision. The Night Vision overlay I appreciate a lot because it makes sure that you understand that the mech that you're using is A, in a mission where the weather is night vision enabled, and B, that you have night vision equipped on that mech. Because sometimes I forget completely what is on what mech. The disable night vision overlay just doesn't give you the, green tint whenever you're using a mech with night vision on a night map or on a, low light map. Speed mod. It defaults to 50%. I've always found 50% to be completely adequate. The no increased speed is the base Harebrained schemes. Everything feels big and stompy and slow. It's cool, but it also takes forever to do anything. So, 50% is a happy place that I appreciate. Quality of life options. Skip intro. That just skips the intro and splash screens whenever you're booting in for the, millionth time. And the use mouse 4 as escape key is exactly as it says. If you want to open the menu, you can use mouse button 4. Mech auto sorting. This specifically is whenever you're, I believe, looking for missions. Or maybe it's mech bay. Regardless, I always turn it off because I prefer to just manually sort. But, yeah. Auto sorting. I know that it's missions. I'm pretty sure it's also mech bay. But this will move the chassis around based on what you select here. No auto sorting means that wherever you put them is where they stay. FX options. Yeah, the sound placement pack is good. Skip travel cutscenes because, again, once you've seen them for the millionth time, they just are not worth the time. Crystal clear, obsolete. If it's obsolete, don't click it. Yeah, it used to be a thing that would improve performance for some people, but they have upgraded the performance a lot in basically every possible way under the hood. So things like that are no longer really necessary, and often will cause conflicts more than help. Disable Argo ambient chatter. I'm actually going to turn that on because it is annoying to start recording something and then have, Darius or whoever pop in the background. Scorched Earth. Permanent scorch marks. So, scorch marks fade in 40 seconds unless you click this on. I'm going to just leave it off. Whatever. Colored panic system floaties or no colored panic system floaties. I like the colored panic system floaties because it reminds me of how bad it is. If it's super colorful, it means that they're freaking out. And then no colored system, it still gives you the panic system, notifications, but it's just not colored. Personal preference there. Apparently, the Russian localization needs it. And then style of unit icons. Photography style mech icons or Roguetech mech portraits. I'm not going to lie, I struggle sometimes with the grayscale pictures to tell what chassis I'm looking at. Default Roguetech mech portraits, they're very unique and clear, and yeah, I appreciate them. So, Eternus, good job. Tech and repair Bonnie options. Repair armor after battle is the default Roguetech system of you have to repair, with time and money, the armor that is damaged in a mission. But base tech points are boosted. Or you can turn on the free armor repair after battle, which is just like the Harebrained Schemes vanilla, where no matter how many hits you take, as long as your structure does not get breached or destroyed, you can just immediately drop into another mission without repairs. Which, you're playing Roguetech. Just repair the armor after the battle. It says training wheels mode, but even then, like, you're not really learning how to play Roguetech if you're not repairing the armor after. You'll get into a lot of bad habits where, yeah, you could bankrupt yourself very easily if you aren't expecting to have to repair. My personal opinion is that if you want to have training wheels mode, the campaign settings are the place to do it. You can make repairing, for example, cheaper and easier. You can make armor repairs cheaper and quicker. But with just turning them off, you get into a situation where you're not really learning much from playing. So if you just want to have the easy, fun time of not having to repair between battles, sure, do it. But for most people who are watching this video, you're going to want to keep the repair armor after battle on. Russian localization. Do you speak Russian? If so, there you go. If not, skip it. Mod tech. Miscellaneous tasks. Clean the cache, which is very important whenever there's a save break, but since, again, I am installing this in a clean Battletech install that has never been modded with Roguetech, then that's unnecessary. It can be used for some troubleshooting stuff, and also if you're switching options around and they're not working, that's a way to get the new options to work. Remove old Roguetech saves. It's useful whenever you're installing a new save break to do that, just so you don't forget which ones were the old ones, and then try to load a save that is broken. Rendering options. Default rendering or multi-thread rendering. If you're using a multi-threaded processor, then use multi-threaded rendering. It says may increase game performance, but in my experience, it very much does, as long as you have the specs to run Roguetech competently. If you're playing with like 4 gigs of RAM, that's not going to help at all. But yeah. Then we have the Roguetech performance options. Roguetech performance fixes has always been checked on whenever I play because it does help a lot. And the VMM WSGC improves performance by emptying BT's private workset memory after each contract. I mean, sure. I believe that's going to help a lot, specifically. So an old issue that, and this is new as far as I can tell. An old issue that I ran into a lot back the last several times I was recording is I'd have recording sessions where I was playing for 10, 12 hours or whatever. And by the end of it, things were very clunky and chunky with loading. And I'm pretty sure it's just because of how Harebrained Schemes made the original vanilla game without expecting so much stuff to be added by modders. So if this fixes that, which I'll know after playing and having long recording sessions, then that's awesome. I don't know what else it could possibly be for, so I'm going to keep it on and we'll find out. And now the mod install directory will be wiped. Proceed, yes. And now the mod is installing and it's time to wait again. This would have actually been part of it the first time around if I hadn't had the wrong version of the launcher. But again, I'm glad that happened so that you could see. And now I'll cut back once it is done installing and updating. Alright, it has been an hour and 20 minutes or so. Woo! And Roguetech has now been updated to the latest version. So, now whenever I click OK, I should be able to click Launch Roguetech, And the first load is always going to be the longest, period. There we go. So this has now got to go on for however long it takes. And if you get to this point where ModTech's doing the injection and everything, then you have reached the point where you're about to be ready to maybe start. It's a process, but I can say that you don't have to do anything up to this point ever again. Well, until there's another major save break. And this is only going to take this long the first time. It'll be much, much quicker on subsequent loads or launches. And then the last long wait before you can play is when you launch a campaign. And basically all of that is either done with or much, much faster whenever you're just loading into a campaign and playing. But there are load times to be aware of. A lot of load times. So if you looked at the probably not even 20 minutes of this video and were like, oh yeah, I can install and play. Nope. I cut out hours of loading. And yeah, I'm gonna cut to me being able to successfully launch into a campaign. I'm not gonna do the campaign options in this video. There's gonna be a second video for that. But I am going to go ahead and show you that it does successfully launch and work with what I did. Again, troubleshooting. Biggest thing is, if you have anything go wrong where it's not working, clean install of Battletech 2016, and then fresh download of the Roguetech launcher, and a clean install into a directory that you just created for the Roguetech cache. And that's it. So I'm going to cut to showing you that it worked and that it was successful. And if there's anything that doesn't work, then we will address that then. Alright, so actually that happened very, very quickly. I'm assuming that it worked. Roguetech course correct. I'm, again, going to cover all of this later. But just clicking through the default settings, maybe this is the point where it takes forever. Alright, so, sorry for the volume not being adjusted properly. I forgot that there was going to be background music that was probably going to drown me out, and it's probably much louder than I think it is. But that's fine. I'm just going to click through, confirm, and continue. Okay. So, that was successful, and I can drop on a mission real quick to make sure that everything is working. I'm on a very high difficulty planet. So that's what they meant by the chevrons. So instead of it being green skulls, and then red skulls, and then purple skulls, and whatever, it's chevrons. So the 2 chevrons up is the same as the red skulls, whereas if it's a skull 1 through 5, then it would be, actually I can go to navigation, find a planet. Yeah. Just look for a planet that is lower difficulty. Hello? There we go. Yep. So, green skull, or what used to be green skulls is now a single chevron in green. And then we've got the 2s, and I doubt there's going to be anything bigger than a 5. But yeah, that's what the per planet rating is. I can go somewhere that has a half chevron or half skull, and drop on super milk run missions if I get really banged up and need some just quick, easy money. Or I can go way ahead and go to a high difficulty planet before my lance is valuable enough for the system to say that I can start them. But like I said, I'm just going to drop on a random mission. It doesn't matter what it is. None of it matters. I'm going to be deleting this anyway. double click, double click, double click, double click, and as long as... oh yeah. Alright, and deploy. We're going to see how long it takes to load into the first mission. Oh. The Lance rating is also, like, overwritten by the chevrons. That's funny. I'm sure that'll be tweaked as time goes on, maybe. Unless that just is part of the background and they couldn't remove it. And we're just about ready to drop. So it is worth noting that your load times may be, probably will be, much, much longer than my animation rig. But it is not nearly as much time as the initial install update.
Command interface initiated.
So, yeah, again, it took an hour and 20 minutes, give or take, for the Roguetech launcher to install and update and everything. And, oh, I can actually mention the deployment. So, the random deployment location is I am golden to deploy here no matter what's going on. And with manual deployment, I get to choose a spot. And you can see I can't drop in certain areas. That random location is a guaranteed spot you can drop no matter what's going on, but I can't drop on top of the point. But I can drop anywhere else that is not, threatened by enemies or whatever. The larger the map you have, the more drop versatility you'll have. So if I had a larger map, I could drop from this other side of the capture zone without it having to be just in that corner. But, yeah. Oh, also, I'll mention it plenty of times, holding down Alt lets you drop mech by mech. Now, you can't, zoom way over here and drop the other half of your lance, but you can drop individual mechs into individual spots. And that's only, that's only if you have manual deployment. If you have automatic deployment, you will not be able to have this much control over exactly where your mechs drop. But yep. And just like that, not even 10 minutes after Roguetech finished launching and updating, or installing and updating, I am ready to play my first mission. That's where I'm going to call this video. The next video I will drop, probably same day as this one, is going to be covering campaign options for the start of a campaign. Again, this has been the March 2025 version of this video, so please don't comment that I missed some detail or other 4 years from now. Alright? Alright. I don't think there's anything else to mention. Yep. That's it. Have a good one.